Hello there, I'm Lou Wieland, and for the last 30-some years, I have published the Community Profiles magazines that are distributed by the First Multiple Listing Service of Atlanta. And the magazines, there are several different versions or editions. One is for the metro area, one is for Cobb County that we publish with the name of the Cobb Association of Realtors also on the masthead. The First Multiple Listing Service also, their name is on it, along with, and then we also have Gwinnett and North Fulton with the North Fulton Chamber of Commerce name on that. The magazines are distributed to all of the real estate brokerage firms in the metro area and for their distribution to their clients buying commercial or residential, buying or selling commercial or residential properties, real estate. They're on the Multiple Listing Service website, and for the access to realtors, you have to be an agent to access that site. And I think there are about 60,000 different agents that now have access to that site. FMLS is now in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and of course Atlanta and Florida. So expanding quite a bit. Tennessee also. So if you're an agent and you're watching from any of those areas, then you have access to your listings in your respective states as well as in all of the others. So FMLS is expanding, and there will be more cities to be announced soon. But I'm also a commercial realtor with KW Commercial. If I can help you with any of your real estate needs, my focus is multifamily and land, although I have done some commercial leases, and I'm about ready to embark on handling some warehouses for investment properties, as investment properties. So anyway, as we do every now and then, we do interview community leaders and people who are contributing to the city and to our industry. And so today we have the privilege of interviewing Amanda Charlesworth. So Amanda works in my office, and she is a broker, and her title is the Director of Growth and / Wealth Builder, and we'll learn more about that and her background and helping other people, helping herself, of course, and helping other people build wealth. And so she's a graduate of the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga and received her real estate license in 2003 and immediately joined RE/MAX. In 2005, she started working with an investment firm in their acquisition of investment properties in the Atlanta area. She has always, since the get-go, seems like she's been involved in helping people. She was even in helping women and children in their children's violence centers. So she's got a kind of a second nature to help people. She joined the Georgia Real Estate Investors Association and was the president in 2011 and vice president in a previous year. She started her own firm, Charlesworth Realty Group, selling commercial and residential property. And in 2021, she came to Keller Williams in North Atlanta, Winter Parkway in Alpharetta, and sold her company, and has been a great asset to Keller Williams North Atlanta, and also in general, and to me in particular, especially. And she does have a good background with commercial and investment property. So, Amanda, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you, and hopefully we will pick your brain here a little bit about some of your experiences in the industry. And first of all, let me just ask you, because your primary focus seems to have been after first time I really did a deep dive into your experience as the commercial investment property, which is dear and dear to my heart. What is the state of that industry right now, given the interest rates?
Commercial or residential?
Both, and the interest rate problem is common to both.
I can speak right now stronger on the residential than the commercial because I have been out of the commercial market for 18 months. But traditionally speaking, when you're evaluating a deal for commercial or residential from the investment standpoint, if the numbers work, the numbers work. And if a number doesn't work, whether that be because of the interest rate or the amount you have to put down or the income from that property, it doesn't work. So, the interest rates are only relevant in the bottom line, essentially. So, that was my experience in commercial over the past 20 years is, as it fluctuated, that if the deal works, the deal works. And if the interest rate is what it is, that's been my experience.
The commercial market is kind of complicated because they have to do a big mortgage reset over the next couple of years, about $2 trillion in mortgage resets. Have you noticed that impacting the market at all yet in that process?
Not on the residential side as of yet.
Okay. Well, anyway, the residential side is experiencing some pretty significant market changes. Volume is down, but prices are up.
Right.
There are quite a few people actually leaving the industry right now over the last year because of that, probably, and the fact that interest rates are scaring people. How would you address that kind of issue right now with the agents that you work with and also are recruiting?
Well, I think it's educating yourself on what's actually going on, because the reality of it is if you're buying a $500,000 house, and like you said, it's appreciating because our market is going up, that definitely supersedes the interest rate. So making sure you have actual facts to show people what's really going on in our market is so important. We use a tool here called Chartmasters, and it is an amazing tool to help you explain what's going on and how your wealth is actually greater by selling one house that's less expensive, buying a house that's more expensive because you're appreciating on the more expensive asset. And so if the interest rates go up, great, you won. If they go down, refinance. But you're still better off with that appreciating asset going up.
There is a lack of inventory going on right now. So how do you manage around that obstacle?
You do. So it's very simple. There is a lack of inventory, but there's also, again, a lack of education on how to circumvent that, and how, as what I recommend that our agents do here when they come in and they have a buyer that they can't find a home for. We have a way that if they're looking in Windward subdivision, we can upload everybody's name, phone number, email, and address into their CRM, into their client management system. And we say circle prospect, like go get that off market deal. That's why our volume is still going up. We are 20% year over year in most categories, and in listings, we were up 20% for Keller, Williams, North Atlanta, and then in total volume of deals, we're up 10%. So I think that, who you're in business with matters, and making sure that you're on the right team that can get you there. The team that goes, okay, I have a buyer. I need to get, golden letters out telling people I have a buyer, and how do I do that quickly? And anybody who is on the market or might be considering selling, that's how you address that, is you get that off market deal. And if you don't know how to go and get an off market deal, you got to learn. You've got to You've got to go to a class. You've got to educate yourself. You've got to be in business with people who can teach you how to do it, because that's why we're still going up, because we're training our agents on how to go out there and find the deal. It's not going to pop up in MLS. The inventory's down. We know that, but we still have more deals than we did last year, and we still are up, and that's how.
Well, you mentioned the word teams. What does that mean, and how does that work?
Well, your team is like your tribe. It's who you surround yourself with. You are the sum of the 5 people that you are around. So make sure that you have a team around you. Now, here at Keller Williams, we've mastered, having the team structure in real estate. We have 29 different teams here. Some are just 2 or 3 agents, a rainmaker agent with a buyer agent or 2 buyers agents. And we have large teams that have 20 agents on them. So we've mastered the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and we've mastered coaching our teams on that. So, we have 12 people who produce $1 million in commission.
And how do they interact with each other? And just on a day-to-day basis, how do they kind of support each other, the members of these? I've never been on a team. I've been kind of by myself. I've been in commercials also, but how do they interact with each other? And how did that?
All 29 teams function completely differently. It is amazing to me the nuances of each team. So some meet every morning, some meet once a week, some don't have a structure, some have an assistant that everything kind of communicates through them. So it can be structured however that rainmaker wants, but it will, ultimately, the result is the result. So we definitely mastered the art of the MREA agent, and the teams all function differently. So what works for one agent to go on that team, if you like structure, that might not be a good team for you. If you, don't like structure, a really structured team might not be the right fit for you. And again, a team may not be the right fit for you. We utilize the Keller personality assessment to help us put the right people in the right place, on the right seat on the bus, so to speak. So that way, that they have the highest likelihood of being successful.
Some people might not be familiar with the term MRE. What does that mean exactly for people?
I was trying not to use the acronym. So MREA is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. It's basically a workbook, the formula to make $1 million in commissions a year. It is an amazing book. It's simple. It tells you exactly what to do. There is no ambiguity. It's a great book. So if you don't have it, you should definitely get it.
This was written by Gary Keller, right? Is it put together by the founder of Keller Williams? Correct.
He wrote it 20 years ago. The formula still works. That's why everybody says, when's an update coming out? There isn't. There might be one that comes out that has some social media aspect to it, but short of that, the formula still works. We see it succeed at a very high level at this office. So I'm very, very fortunate to be surrounded by such amazing agents.
I've been buying real estate on my own for a long time too, and before I even got a license. And I never really, I really haven't had a lot of training other than what I've learned on my own. And at Keller Williams, some of the training, but it was really applied to residential, which is not my area of expertise. But what actually is entailed in a training program, and how do you explain the program to agents? I see you showing agents around the office all the time, and I don't know what you're telling them, except when you introduce me, who I happen to be in a way. But what do you tell people about the training program, and what does it entail exactly?
Well, you have to have 2 training programs running simultaneously. You have to have new agent training consistent because like you said, there are new agents coming into the industry consistently. We have to have an ongoing training for new agents, and that consists of 3 classes that teach you how to prospect. You've got to know where your business is coming from. And so those first 3 classes are going to be all about prospecting. Your next 3 classes are going to be all about working with sellers. What that looks like is pricing the home correctly, how to do an open house, a listing presentation, like how to work with a seller. Your next 3 are going to be all about working with buyers. You know, in this market, if it's priced right and pretty, it's going to have multiple offers. How do you get your client's offer approved? Your next 3 classes are going to be all about contracts, and that is going to make sure that you're confident and comfortable with the contracts that we use most frequently here as agents. So that really is your new agent training program. We call it Ignite, and that is, we have that almost continuously. Then you also have, you can't just have new agent training, because we have a lot of agents that are at different levels. We have some that are, 10 million in volume a year, and then we have some that are 50 million in volume. So we've got to fill those gaps for all of those agents. And we do that through, we have 3 to 5 training classes per day. We have masterminds at different levels of production so that you can have those high levels of conversation if you are a top producer. And if you are a middle producer trying to get to the top producer level, we have those masterminds for you to help you get there. And they're led by an agent who does produce 1 million commissions a year. So we make sure that you have in front of you and are instructed by masters of our industry.
Well, I'm reading your biography that you sent over, and one of the things you mentioned in your bio was that as a HUD agent, you sold, I remember you told me that the other day, and I was astounded. You sold 250 houses a year for, I forgot how many years it was, like 5 years.
For 5 years in a row with only an assistant.
How in the world did you do that?
I lived real estate. I did not, I didn't breathe. I mean, and so some people I just didn't do anything but real estate. My kids' birthdays, I popped in, saw the presents open, saw a piece of cake, and popped back out. I took my kids on vacation to a home specifically that I could rent where the office overlooked the pool, so I could sit there and work while I was on vacation. So I knew it wasn't going to last forever because I didn't want it to. Nobody wants that rate of foreclosures to happen forever. That wasn't a good thing for the world overall. But I knew it wasn't going to last forever. So my kind of mantra was to set myself up to where I don't ever have to, worry again about selling a house, and bought rental houses. So whereas a lot of the people who were doing REO, maybe they weren't doing quite as much as me. They were out buying Ferraris and posting them, and they were beautiful. And I was out buying rental houses. So that was kind of my plan, was just to, sell as many houses as I could, buy as many rental houses as I could in that market. And the minute it was over, I'd take a breath. And that's essentially what I did. And then I took an almost 2-year hiatus from real estate.
So ever since college, pretty much you've been involved in the real estate industry. And in college, even, you were involved in investment property, apparently. So what do you think, and you've seen a lot of agents come and go over those years, and there is a high turnover in our industry. Why is that, first of all? And then I would ask you, following up by, what are some of the, if you were to evaluate your own self as an individual in terms of potential success in our industry, what criteria would you use to kind of do a self-examination?
Okay, so the first question was, why do I think that there's a high turnover in our industry?
Right.
Was that the first question, Lou?
Yes.
Okay. I think that there's a high turnover in our industry because from the outside looking in, it looks easy. It's like you don't realize how hard it is until you're in it. And then it's not for everybody, right? Like you get in it and it's just, I mean, I've had people look at me and go, I can't do this. And, but then I think to be completely transparent, I think that a lot of reasons that that people don't make it is they don't get the proper training and they don't have the proper support. They get into it and they'll go with a broker that doesn't have training that because they like the price. And, you know, that's not why, you know, when you first get in, the price isn't the most important factor. And you even stated, I started at Remax and they even said to me, you know, we don't take a lot of new agents because we don't really have a training program. And I was like, you guys are number one in the world right now, and I want a part of that. So I did go there, but I did seek out my own training and coach. And I think that that was one of the reasons that I was able to make it in the industry, was because, I mean, they were very transparent with me with regards to, you know, we don't take a lot of new agents. And they were like, okay, well, if you feel confident, and I did, that I did go out and get my own training and my own coach. So I think that that was why I was able to make it when other people at the same time did not, that I did go seek out that training. But then, you know, when you have a company that has training, it would have been different. You know, hopefully, you know, that would have been looked a lot different. I just wanted to go with the number one company in the world at the time. And then you asked me about my potential in real estate. Was that it?
No, I asked you about the common denominators of the characteristics of people who succeed in our industry. What are the common denominators that you've noticed over the years of certain emotional and personality, etc., qualities seem to be a common denominator among successful agents? How would you describe those?
The common denominator is how many hours you're willing to prospect, because it gets tedious, it gets boring, rejection can be, you know, difficult, but you can't take it personal, and that's hard. That's hard when somebody rejects you. That's hard. So, to me, like the common denominators are, you know, being able to get back up when you've been knocked down, and then being able to, you know, just fight for what you want. I mean, everybody, you know, when the crash happened, I was like, I've wanted to do this since I was 12 years old. So there is no me leaving this industry. That's not happening. So I have to figure out how in this market to make money and feed my family. So I figured it out. Like I sat and waiting, trying to get a HUD contract. There were three asset managers at the time, and I just literally wasn't going to leave them until I got a contract. So, and I, you know, and then not only when you get that contract, you're ranked nationwide, and we were ranked number one the whole time. So you have to keep that rating. Like if you turn in anything late, you get a point off. If you turn in anything that's incorrect, you get a point off. If anything goes wrong, and when you're doing 250 a year consecutively for 5 years in a row, there's a lot of room for error. So you have to be on top of it. So me, the common denominators are, you know, relentless in pursuit of your goals, and being boring, because prospecting is boring sometimes. I think it's fun. I like door knocking. I like prospecting, calling. It doesn't bother me, but a lot of people don't like those.
Some people in sales, and I've been in sales for quite a while, but other types of sales, some salespeople are not that detail-oriented or very well organized even. How do they overcome that to be successful in this business?
Well, I am not detail oriented at all. And I actually have like a little dyslexia with numbers. So to be transparent. Like, you can still be successful. Hand off the paperwork to someone else. Use the transaction to close coordinator that's incredibly detailed, or leverage. You got to have leverage in this industry or you can drown really quickly. So you've got to have that assistant that is detail oriented, that goes back and double checks everything. You have to have somebody on your team, because I agree with you. A lot of real estate agents and salespeople are not detail oriented, and you've got to make sure that you have somebody checking you. You have to make sure that there's somebody checking. I worked in a different industry before, and it was very expensive mistakes. And so we had somebody that just did nothing but go behind all of us and make sure our mistakes were caught. And that was their only job. So you've got to leverage yourself and know your weaknesses and accept them and feed your strengths. Like, I'm not going to sit there and worry that I'm not detail oriented. I have people on my team that are, and that's their strength. And so let them do that. So that would be my answer to that.
The average sale in our industry is probably around 400,000. So
477, I think.
So mistakes can be costly.
Yes, they can. They can be very costly. And know your weakness. I mean, I'm all about knowing your weakness. I don't worry about it because I know that we have an amazing team here at Keller Williams, and there are people who are very detail oriented. And but as an agent, I would just use transaction to close. I would tell them everything I need, have them write the contract. We have a great team here, Team New Vista, and they are partners. And one is super detail oriented, and he just, that's his superpower, and so he makes sure that all of that is correct. So just know your weaknesses, feed your strengths, and leverage or partner or hire your weakness.
Well, when I came to Keller Williams, the broker there, Lord Dana, gave me a test, actually. And it was a test, an aptitude test.
It's a personality assessment.
And I went through that test, and honestly, I didn't know if I failed or passed, because it was not that easy. You had to really think about to know yourself. What can you tell people about that, and how does that help people decide whether they want to continue on the path in this industry?
Well, I love it because it tells us there's about 40 different roles here at Keller Williams and at most real estate offices. And, you were asking why people get out of the industry. Well, a lot of people are just on the wrong seat on the bus, right? It's not that they don't like real estate. It's not that they just may not be in the right role. So the great thing about the Keller personality assessment is it assesses your personality traits to the different roles here at Keller Williams, or the different roles that in general real estate has. So, for example, we have an agent and he has a coach, and he had been, doing great for 3 years, and he was not happy. And he's like, I'm making a lot of money. I am, doing everything right. Why am I miserable in this? And the coach pulled up the Keller personality assessment and says, you rank really low for being a single agent, but high for being a team leader, a rainmaker agent. And so let's focus on building your team so that because that matches your personality. Being alone by yourself and doing this doesn't. So that's, again, one of the tools. Having the right tools and systems in place are so important. That's one of the great tools that we have at our disposal. If anybody wants to take it, let me know. But that's one of the great tools that we have at our disposal so that you can be in the right position. So that way you don't leave the industry. Maybe you are super detail oriented, but you do not like to go out there and prospect and get the business. Okay, great. We have a whole admin side. We have agents who need admin. We work with Transaction to Close Company, Legacy Leverage, and they're amazing. Maybe that would be a good fit for you. So I think, getting in the right place. Some people only want to work with buyers and they don't want to prospect. Okay, great. We've got where you can be a buyer's agent where you do nothing but show properties, and and go from there. And we put you in the right place. So that gives you the greatest chance for success.
Well, some of the people who are watching this show happen to be buyers and sellers of real estate. And
Oh, great.
how would you advise them to determine who to retain as their agent? What kind of advice? People don't know the industry. They have a house, they want to sell it, they want to buy it. How do they know whether the agent is qualified and is capable of doing a good job? What kind of advice would you give them?
Great question. I would ask them to look at that person's track record. There's people who say that they have a lot of sales, but they also have a lot of expireds or withdrawals. What's going on there? So I would ask to see their track record. I would want to see their marketing plan. I would want to see who they're in business with. Having been an independent broker for 14 years, I left millions of dollars on the table by not having a good referral network. Now that I'm at the largest company in the world, I have a great referral network. So who they're in business with matters. And I would definitely have them, the power of Keller Williams getting your listing sold is significantly greater. And so, and there's several large companies that are that way, but a worldwide company, we're in a worldwide world now, right? So you've got to function that way. And that was something I was missing when I owned my own brokerage. And so that was definitely something that we were excited to have when we came into Keller Williams. So know their numbers. Top agents know their numbers. They know their sales. Ask to speak to their last client, not necessarily their favorite client or their client that's writing rave reviews about them, but their last client or a current client. And look at their marketing plan to get your home sold, because it matters. It's not everything, and also don't go with the person who gives you the highest price, because that's all they're doing is taking overpriced listings. So, if you meet with several agents and they are telling you a certain price and it's all over the place, well, that's kind of odd too. Usually the numbers aren't going to lie. They're going to look at the same data and draw about the same conclusion, or they should be. And so I would definitely look at the number that they're telling you, but don't just go with the person who says, oh, I can sell it for $50,000 more than they can sell it for, because that's just not, the numbers are the numbers. They don't vary that much. So that would be some of the key things that I would do if I was a seller. And also too, if anybody comes in and they haven't seen your house yet and they give you a price, that's not normal. Maybe in new construction, brand new construction, you can kind of do that. But short of that, they've got to see your house. They've got to evaluate it. They've got to know why it's different. They've got to know why, if it's more sellable than another house. They've got to look at the comps. They've got to look at your competition, all those things before they can give you a good solid range.
Our time is running up. We have time for one more question, and that question would be the main question in the minds of people right now, which is, I would like to buy a house, but I can't find another house that I like, and I have to give up a great interest rate. So my interest rate, if I do find a house, is going to be a lot higher. So how would you talk to a home buyer about that kind of?
I just had this question with a friend that's a home seller last week. So that's a great question, because that is definitely coming up a lot in our industry right now. And I would sit down and talk to them, what's going on in their world that they want to move. Mine wanted to be back in a subdivision, but whatever the reason, are they able to carry both loans? Because if they are, then you now have an investment property. So don't get rid of that loan. If you can make it work financially, keep that property, have income coming in, because they were going to clear $2,000 a month. They were going to be better off $24,000 a year by renting that than they were paying off, just completely selling it. And, they asked my honest opinion, and, we need inventory, but at the same time, I gave them my honest opinion. I felt like they should definitely, keep that one as a rental. Let's go buy the other one, and that would work. If you can't do that, then let's evaluate why you're wanting to move. Because, there are reasons that are beyond their control. Like if they're getting a divorce, if they have if they're outgrown their home, if they've had, if the person living in the home has passed away, there's all kinds of, you just got married, there's all kinds of reasons, for you to need to move regardless of the interest rate. And, if the interest rate goes up, great, you won. If the interest rate goes down, refinance. I mean, it's something that's variable in our industry anyway. But if you are paying rent, that's 100% interest. So you definitely would be better off moving and purchasing a home. So I would evaluate and talk to that person about why they're wanting to move and see if it is a good fit for them, because their answer might be no. And so, but if they have an overriding reason and are an actual, ready to move, then and have a need, then this is what it is. If it go, that's what I would do. I would really have a heart-to-heart conversation. They're going to have to be really vulnerable with you and feel comfortable. So you'll know if they are actually giving you the real answer as to, if they're actually motivated.
Well, our time is up, Amanda. Amanda Charlesworth, her title is Director of Growth and / Wealth Builder. How do people get a hold of you if they want to build wealth and consider joining our industry?
They can go to, I think you are going to put the website up. They can also call or text me at 404-512-2524. If they're thinking of getting in the industry, we can offer them a scholarship to go to real estate school online anywhere in the country. And then if they are in the industry and they want to meet with me for 30 minutes at a time regarding their wealth building, because I am past president at Georgia Real Estate Investors Association, I've been an investor for 15 years, then we can sit down and work on scaling up their wealth. And if they're an agent, I sold approximately 100 homes for 7 years, and then to get to that level of 250 and what that took, and I can help them scale up their business. So they can call or text me at 404-512-2524, or they can go to the website and get me there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Lou.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming on the show. And if you are interested in information about the metro area, you can go to my website, atlantacommunityprofiles.com, and we have a wealth of information about the metro area on that site. All the magazines are on that site. All the counties and communities are profiled. Check it out. I'm sure you'll benefit and learn a great deal about the city that you may not already know. Again, that's atlantacommunityprofiles.com. Thank you very much for watching, and have a nice day.